And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to iCritic Live. This is the podcast / live show where we love to talk about movies, entertainment, and life in between. I am Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net. And, you know, one of the biggest things this channel is known for, and really what I'm known for, is the MoviePass videos. I have been a huge fan of MoviePass, still have my card, for a long time. MoviePass is really what got this channel started, and it was a very fun time to be a movie lover when the service worked. And then, of course, things went badly, as you know, and that was well documented on this channel. But MoviePass is making a comeback under original founder Stacy Spikes. And he believes that MoviePass does have a future despite falling attendance level, Disney basically saying that people have moved on from movie theaters, and, of course, the other theaters having their own subscription services. But what exactly does that service look like? What does the future of MoviePass really entail? Well, I decided I wanted to ask the man himself, and because I'm so nice, I figured, hey, why don't we just have him join us today so that he can tell us in person what MoviePass is going to look like in the future. Thank you for joining us, Stacy.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Now, you know, really, I almost have a little bit of a bone to pick with you because before MoviePass started, I didn't have a smartphone. I wasn't going to get a smartphone. Then I saw this ad, $35 a month, all the movies. And it's like, what is this thing? I guess I need to get a smartphone. And I got a smartphone to get MoviePass. And now, well, thanks for everything and thanks for nothing at the same time. So you sold me a smartphone. Steve Jobs would be proud.
Yes.
All right, let's jump right into this with the first question. Now, this interview has been in the cards for a while, so I had to rewrite almost all the questions. But the first question originally only got a slight little tweak. Now, originally I was going to ask, just for prosperity's sake, if the $10 plan would be coming back, knowing that the answer was going to be no. But lo and behold, when MoviePass announced plans, there is a $10 plan there. So explain why you did that when I believe at one point you said the $10 monthly plan was either, I forgot whether the term was unattainable or unattainable or unsustainable, whatever the word was. But why is MoviePass going back to $10 a month when that was kind of what brought it down in the first place?
Yeah, the simple answer was the $10 unlimited was never going to come back. I just can't see that ever working. That's in North America, barely the price of a single ticket, and I don't know how that would work. But a version where you can go to a range of movies that's not 30 movies, we did want to bring something back so that people could get in at a level that they want to try the service out. So if you say, well, I feel like paying $10, I'll try it at that level, or 20 or 30, they'll give you a different range of the amount of movies you can go to. So that part, we saw that was easier to do than trying to any way possible bring the unlimited version back.
Okay, and as I understand it, this new system for $10, it's so let's share this screenshot for a second so that people can kind of see what we're talking about here. As you can see, you have a basic, standard, a pro, and it says with basic you get 1 to 3 movies a month. And some people are going to say, well, okay, so if $10 a month gets you 1 movie ticket, and what you said, 1 movie ticket is basically the cost of MoviePass, how does this work exactly?
Yeah, so and basically the new system has peak and off-peak times, right? So if you want to go Friday night, Saturday night, that's peak. You're probably going to get you're going to save money on a single ticket. But if you want to go midweek, you're Monday through Thursday at participating partners that we have, you're going to be able to get that at probably max out at 3 movies if you wanted to go at that point. So what we wanted to do is create a marketplace where when theaters have inventory and they have capacity, they can help drive traffic to their theaters at those times. When it's full and it's Friday night and Top Gun's opening on the first night of the week, you're probably not going to get as much value there. So that's how we staggered it. But it's all driven by this marketplace where both the theater and the consumer are now on the same page. Theater says, hey, this movie's in its second or third week. I want to drive traffic. You're going to use fewer points to be able to go to that movie versus the other movie. So that's how you'll get a range.
I see. So, for example, we'll use two movies for. If you say went to Top Gun on opening weekend versus Where the Crawdads Sing on opening weekend, you would have a much better chance of seeing Where the Crawdads Sing rather than Top Gun. And if you waited in a few days later to Tuesday or Wednesday, you would probably see Top Gun, but you would have an even better chance of seeing Where the Crawdads Sing. Is that kind of what your thinking is?
Yeah. So I don't have a screenshot of the app. I had it in the that keynote presentation we did a while back, but there where each movie is, there's going to be you're going to get a certain number of credits per month. So at $10, $20, or $30, you'll get a certain number of credits. You get to use those credits however you want to use them, whether it be I'm going to go opening weekend Friday night, 7 o'clock, and I want to use most of my credits there, or I want to go on Tuesday night or Wednesday night, and I'm going to bring my wife. Like I could use credits and get 2 tickets at that time. So you'll be able to take your credits and kind of use them however you want. But just think there's peak and off-peak times, and we all kind of know what those peak and off-peak times tend to be. You'll be able to use them in that way. But the credits are yours. You get to use them however you want. And if you don't use them, they roll over into the next month. So if you were doing finals and you didn't get a chance to go, you just roll over and you'll be able to use them in the following month.
Right. And so that's nice because, you know, for some people, maybe they sign up for MoviePass and maybe they, like right now, there's just not a lot of movies out right now. I mean, Jaws is the big release out there. So it's interesting that
Rogue One was in theaters this weekend. I went to see that this past weekend.
Oh, it's in IMAX. Does MoviePass work with IMAX?
You know what? That's part of what we're working on, where you'd be able to say, I want to use all my credits and I want to go see an IMAX film. We will bake that in, that you'll be able to choose to do it however you want. That's part of the freedom of the credit system, is you can mix and match however you want. Right now it's at 2D, but 3D and IMAX, we are working on what those will look like.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really nice, because I'm a big IMAX person. When I was actually a subscriber to the $99 plan, just because IMAX was part of it. And people said, "Oh, you're crazy. Like, why would you pay $100?" It's like, well, if you see 2 IMAX movies, that's what, $50.
Yeah.
So I saw value in that. So since we're talking about the dynamic pricing, and first of all, is there going to be blocked out showtimes as part of the MoviePass thing? Like, is there going to be some showtimes that they just cannot see at all, regardless how many credits there are?
No, because you'll be able to buy more credits if you want to go see something and your credit limit is low. You have only a few credits. You'll be able to buy more. So there's no blackout dates, but how you use them. Sorry, I have hiccups. So
that's fine.
How you use them is, you know, completely up to you. So you'll have the freedom to do that. But we think that it will drive traffic to theaters that want to compete. Largely the same movies are showing multiple places at the same time. And so it lets the theaters kind of, the previous system just didn't allow for that. It was one universe, everything was flat. There was no way to tell what some of the economics were behind the scenes. But now we've kind of just opened up that marketplace.
All right. Well, that's good to know that there's not going to be any blockouts, because, you know, that was something that after the previous incarnation of MoviePass kind of got too ambitious for its own good. We'll say that.
Yeah.
That, you know, I remember there were just times you just couldn't go to see a movie at all. Now, Another issue with the previous incarnation, ironically, was the dynamic pricing and was the surge, and it was a whole like people would have to pay a surge on top. So do you think that won't be an issue this time around because you're being more upfront about the dynamic pricing and it's going to be spelled out more clear? Like this movie takes more. Because I remember years ago when they had those paper passes at Regal and stuff, you could buy them for $6.
Wow.
But
Yeah, you're going way back.
Yeah, but then you had to wait like 2 weeks for the movie to have been out before you could use them. So
yeah,
and people were fine with that. Do you think that's kind of what you can expect? Sorry, is this how you're communicating people to expect? Like, yeah, it'll be much more worth your while if you wait a little while for the movies, or if you pick a certain day, and you think it won't be a problem this time?
I think that this is a bit more common sense of how the world really works. I know for a fact
you think.
Yeah. So we tried to make it a lot simpler. So you can go see any movie that you want, and depending upon how you use your credits, how many you have, you can get more, and you'll be able to do that all in the system. But we still, before and even now, only focus on day of. So we're only focused on that day. And that day, you'll be able to look in the system and say, well, this theater is wanting to charge me this many credits, and this theater is showing the same movie for half the amount of credits. Well, you can decide what you want to do. It might be, I don't want to travel to that theater. I want to go to this one, and I'm willing to pay those extra credits. Or you may say, I want to save my credits, and I'm going to go here. That's where we're just letting the consumer and the members decide what they want to do, and whatever we can do to make the service the best experience for them, that's what we'll look to do.
Okay. Now, you talked in your presentation about partnered theaters versus... Okay, first of all, just to let everyone know, will MoviePass work with a movie theater even if they're not a partner theater?
Yes, all theaters will be in the system. There won't be blackout dates on theaters. There won't be blackout dates on movies. You will make your own choice based on credits you have, and you will decide where you want to go. The non-partner theaters, you will need the card because that will be a walk-up transaction. So we are not plugged into that theater's API, so you can't pick your seats right in the app. The partner theaters are all the ones that you will notice you do not need your card. You will be able to use those theaters on the very first moment that you've activated, and you will go right in and you'll be able to select your seat, and the QR code will come right to your phone. That's the difference between the partner and the non-partner theaters. Okay,
so it's not like there's a credit cost difference between a partnered theater and a non-partnered theater, is there? Okay, so that's basically the same. All right. Have you gotten any major chains to sign up yet? I hear Regal could probably use a little extra foot traffic right now.
Well, we could all use a little foot traffic right now. Yes, about 25% of all the theaters out there we've done partnerships with. I would say the big three we have not, but about 40% of the universe outside of the big three, we've already done partnerships prior to launch. So once you're in one of the markets and, you open up, you'll be able to see them and you'll pick where you want to go. But one of the decisions that we made in what markets we're choosing has to do with partner theaters in the marketplace. We didn't want to start with markets where there weren't partners and people wouldn't have a great experience. So the theaters that have said, we want traffic, we want audience, we want to work with people, we want to be able to offer things to people, those are the markets that we leaned in heaviest as our first round. So starting next week, Kansas City, Dallas, and Chicago are the first three. And then we're working on additional markets, getting those plugged up as fast as possible.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought those markets up because as you have said, Chicago and Dallas will be one of the two of the cities that are going to be premiering in. Sorry, I have a stutter. Can you tell? Kansas City was an interesting one. Kansas City
Yeah.
was the one that got everyone kind of going like, huh, interesting. So you've kind of alluded, but I think a lot of people really want to know, like, okay, why did you settle on those three cities first?
Yeah, so the way we did it was we took two factors. One was where did we see for the wait list people came in on the wait list. So we took those numbers, and then where did we see in the markets where we had the highest concentration of exhibitors who had partnered with the service, and as we like to call them, hand raisers who said, hey, we want to plug up into MoviePass and we want to be able to offer value to moviegoers. So you take those two numbers, and where you have the highest concentration of both, we started with those markets first. And the first three that had the highest concentration of both were Kansas City, Dallas, and Chicago.
Interesting. Because I was looking at that, and you know, first of all, like, I don't think a lot of people really think to launch something in Kansas City. No offense to anyone who's from Kansas, but then it was like L.A. and New York didn't.
You're gonna get hate mail.
I get hate mail anyway. But I was really surprised when L.A. and Manhattan didn't make the cut, and it was like, huh, I wonder what the thought process there was. But based on what you said,
basically that has to do with your big three circuits dominate those markets, and they are not, because of their own plans, aren't readily available to partner at the moment, which is fine. So that they're coming. There are other exhibitors in those markets that are coming online, and so we're getting them plugged up. But we just saw a lot more activity outside of LA and New York, which has a dominant AMC Regal presence.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, that explains it, folks. That one of our viewers says, I figured. So,
yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't mean it's not happening. It just, we're trying to go where exhibitors have said, even there's many who have their own loyalty program. They have their own version of MoviePass, but similar to ticketing, a lot of the exhibitors are saying, what do I care if they're coming through Fandango, if they're coming through MoviePass, if they're coming through my own ticketing platform? I want to just put butts in seats. But you have some exhibitors who are saying, I don't want any other subscription plan other than my own, driving traffic. We're not an exhibitor, so we're not in competition with them. Our only purpose is to drive traffic where theaters want that traffic.
Yeah, it's a very 21st century thing when, like, you have companies that it's all these companies that are buying food through apps for other customers, and the people who the food is being bought from says, you know what would make things easier if people bought it off our own app. That's that's kind of where I see AMC and Cinemark. I don't know if anyone at Regal's watching. I mean, now might be a good opportunity to rethink that a little bit. We kid, of course. We want Regal to survive, obviously. So aside from the big three chains, because, you know, this is one of the few times we will bring up MoviePass's past. I do know that, you know, MoviePass left a lot of sour tastes in exhibitors' mouths because of how it kind of flamed out. But my experience with the small-time theater chains that I go to, like the Frida, the Regency, the Lemley theaters, they were like, yeah, it flamed out, but, you know, when it was good, it was good. So when you guys came back, what were most of those theaters' reactions? Were they like super happy that you were back, or it's like, well, we're happy you're back, but tell us more? Like, what was the reception?
Yeah, so a lot of people who don't know, so I'm one of the original co-founders I have been in the movie industry for 20 years. So I was a movie executive. We saw how Pandora and Netflix and Spotify and other subscription models were really the way of the future. And so we felt there's no reason the movie industry doesn't have that. And so I was CEO up through 2016, early 17. And then we brought in another CEO and got a buy offer. And then I unceremoniously was kicked out of my own company. And they, they went for the $10, race to the bottom, unsustainable model. Part of the reason I left was, we didn't agree on that price. And I was like, that's not a sustainable business. So all that stuff that happened from 2018 through 2019 for those 12 months was really, poor operations, but the brand and the idea, people loved it. And theaters were really happy to see us coming back. Consumers were happy to see us coming back. What we found, so we did a bit of a listening tour, and we found the studios loved it. The theaters were excited, and the consumers basically said, hey, I do like the idea of having one subscription service that I can go to any theater I want versus I can only go to this theater. And you can still have your loyalty points at those theaters, but regardless, you go wherever you want. I am I do it more because of being in the business and want to know what's going on, but I'm a Crowns Club member and I'm an AMC member as well as a MoviePass member. But there's an advantage. I think if you live in an area that you only go to one theater, MoviePass might not be for you. But if you live in a market, so for me, I go to an art house theater. So I'll go to the Angelica, I'll go to Sinopolis, I'll go to the Film Forum when I want to see great classic movies, but I'll go to AMC and Regal also. So MoviePass better fits my behavior than if I only had, say, a MoviePass. So that's some of the historical differences. But given that we were the original founders and built the damn thing, we kind of know how it should fly and how to treat everybody with respect and build a brand rather than trying to do a stunt that's not going to work and pay off in the long run.
All right. So you would say overall enthusiasm was good from the theaters when they found out you were coming back. And I think the MoviePass brand must be, people say it's a tainted brand, and yet whenever I use say I'm going to the movies, I mean, I'm using my A-list and I'm using my Regal Unlimited, but how many people say, oh, that's right, you've got the MoviePass. So it has value. That name is a very good name. By the way, quick little side tour. Apparently, we have one of your backers from pre-show watching the live stream. Well, welcome, Leela Lock X8. I'm sure Stacy is incredibly grateful for your support on pre-show, and we will be touching upon that in a minute. Actually, that's a good time. You know what? Why not? That's a good little segue right there. So when you were forced to retire early, we'll say, at MoviePass, one of the things you did is you decided to back pre-show, or you did a Kickstarter for pre-show, I should say, which, for the record, I wanted to do, but I think financially I was getting married. So very expensive thing to get married, so I couldn't back it. But you started working on pre-show, and for those who don't know what pre-show is, basically you can watch an ad and you get like a movie ticket, right? That was kind of the idea behind it. Yeah. So, and you said it's going to be incorporated into MoviePass. I assume that means that people can watch ads and get more credits if they don't want to buy. But do you have any more concrete information on how pre-show is going to factor into the MoviePass ecosystem?
We have a general idea, like what you said. It's really, can you have an ad-supported layer for going to the movies, right? That's what it is in and cents. And so we know generally how it would work. We know from certain aspects of the testing that we did with some of our pre-show customers, and we found that the response was overwhelming. So it went really, really well. We were very happy with that. Pre-show had actually bought MoviePass, and then we spun MoviePass out. And we do have aspirations to be able to have an ad-supported freemium layer inside of MoviePass. To be honest, we are heads down on getting phase 1 up and out the door. We have not done any of the work, but we will honor everybody who was early in pre-show, that they will have a place inside of the MoviePass ecosystem. But I'm excited about it because the data just came back really strong, and there's advertisers who want to. So there's 2 forms of advertising. There's one that's called, it's either interstitial, but you interrupt what someone's doing. You're watching a movie, and every 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to put a commercial. There's a new form of advertising which is starting to emerge, which is called incentivize, or a form of engagement that you're letting the person control their own time and be compensated for their own attention. So we believe attention is going to be a commodity in itself of the future, where you're going to be able to say, hey, these brands, I gave them a certain period of my time, my attention, and I'm now going to use that attention, that currency, towards things. But you own your own data, you opt in, you choose your own control, you can delete your data at any time, all in guidelines with the European Accord and how they're using data and intelligence. So today, we don't use our data that way. Someone else is selling our data, and I'm being forced to see ads. With this approach, you're in complete control and you drive the ship. So I'm excited about it, and can't wait to test it, but we're still a little early. We're going to get MoviePass 2.0 up and then circle back and revisit it.
Right, kind of like a one step at a time thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, well, we kind of remember how MoviePass functioned before, and so we got a head start on that one. So I guess I should ask the question.
Sure.
I wasn't going to ask the question, but now that we've been talking about it, I kind of.
Sure.
So I'm aware that they are like making a MoviePass documentary, and folks, we will be reviewing that documentary whenever it gets finished. I am totally looking forward to it. Wouldn't it be wild if that thing went into theaters and won an Oscar? But anyway, one of the ways you found out about MoviePass being on the market was the documentary filmmakers informed you, and you made an offer and you got it. Yeah. How did it feel to have MoviePass back in your hands?
You know, it's very so. That backstory. So the producers, we were on the phone, and they call and they'll ask questions. Right, there's follow-up questions that they need to ask you, and they were asking me some follow-up questions. And they said after I had done my part of the interview, and they said, "Oh, by the way, we heard that in the HMMY auction, MoviePass didn't sell." And I said, "What do you mean it didn't sell?" They're like, "No one bought it." And I thought for sure someone would just pick this thing up. And so I got the contact information. I called the bankruptcy court, and lo and behold, MoviePass had not been purchased. I think it had to do with HMMY went up for auction, but people maybe didn't pay attention that MoviePass was inside of that. So went and spoke to them and got approval to make an offer, a bid. And the process, the way the courts go, is you can make your offer, but there's 21 days that anyone can make a counter offer. So you kind of have to wait. So we put in our offer, and I don't think I slept for 21 days. And then I think on the 20th day, there had been no offers, no counter offers. And it was like 9 p.m. at night on a Wednesday. I got this email, just showed up in my inbox that the courts have approved your purchase of MoviePass, and there was a judge's signature, and that was it. It was quite surreal. And I actually had to call them and say, "Is this real? Is this?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's it." And then we had to take care of some what they call the transfer. So there's all of these rights and ownership transfers. But yeah, it was bizarre. It was to go through all of that and to have kind of put that behind you. I never imagined that this was something that could be a possibility.
Yeah. And was there, and once you finally realized it was yours and you had it, aside from the bizarre issue, was there like a laughing moment where it's like, oh my gosh, or was like a, wow, this is just, or was it just really just that bizarre? You were like, after you got it, it was just like, wow, I can't believe that worked.
You know what? I kept seeing all these TikTok videos where people were like, I wish MoviePass would come back. I miss my MoviePass. The best year of my life was when I had MoviePass. And so really it was like, wow, maybe we could really, because I don't think it's me, right? I think it's now bigger than me, right? And Hame, my original co-founder, I think that MoviePass kind of went into the zeitgeist, and we've got some stewardship to hopefully bring it back. But I think there was, in the same way music, the way Spotify is a part of our culture and discovering music, our daughter, she grows up being introduced to music through Spotify, right? And so it's like you feel like you can bring that kind of essence to the movie industry. And I think the pandemic and where the industry is now has almost helped that in a lot of ways. People are more open to experimenting. 50% of theaters now have some form of subscription. When we first started this thing, people were laughing at us like, why would people subscribe to go to the movies? So I feel really good about it, and I'm absolutely excited to be able to bring it back.
Awesome. So got a few more questions, and we'll let you have your day. So there's been a lot of jokes about this little black card in the center because MoviePass cards are iconic for being red.
Yeah.
And now they're going to be black. Yes. Now I've made jokes / theories on my channel. Well, maybe they want to get away from the red because they want the bleeding money jokes to stop. Maybe it's because black cards, especially with the credit card YouTube community, of which I am also a part of on another channel, black cards are considered prestige, and it's like it's something to value. But what was your thinking behind going from the red cards, which are iconic and instantly recognizable, to going to a black card? And could other colored cards for different tiers of subscription service be on the way?
So great question. And you're the first person that ever asked about it. So
really, wow.
You are. So back when we had the regular card, the red card, we actually were working on a IMAX premium level of the membership that was going to be, you were going to get invited to premieres and other things, and there was going to be this premium level. And the prototypes for that were the black card. And so we had done all of this work around it, and it never came to light. And but there was going to be, call it a MoviePass with benefits, and just we were working with film festivals, studios to do invites to premieres. We were working with IMAX and Real D to do 3D and IMAX, and so it was going to be a higher tier kind of premium level. And so we had all of this work that we had done. And when we came out, we were like, okay, we need to juxtapose something from the first version to the second version. And it was like, okay, it's already here, right? We did the work. Let's go use that black card. And we did want a differentiator in the market, that there was a difference between 1.0 and 2.0. So that's a lot of it was we had done the work before. And we built a program book and everything around it. So we had that roadmap already laid for it.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. I was always just curious. It's like, oh, there's a lot of reasons why they could have chosen a black card, but I was just curious. Now, because your pre-show backer does have a question. Now, this was a question that I was not scrapped from the interview, but since we have a few extra minutes, and I think I know what the answer is personally. But he says, would you be open to incorporating the unlimited option to MoviePass again for a premium price?
So historically, the unlimited, no matter where you put it, if you didn't have full cooperation from the theaters, it's a loss leader, right? There's a certain, we knew that we needed to shift the business from unlimited. And when the new owners came in, they like put the pedal to the metal and said, let's really go for it. Let's make unlimited $10. So I think that the answer is we want to bring back some version of it, but it may be closer in line to the credit direction that we're going. But I unless we owned the theaters ourselves and we were offsetting the cost with the way they're doing with the fact that they can offset it with concessions, I don't know how we would be able to do it if we hadn't had such large scale. So like, I think Regal's Unlimited is in the $27 range. I know that's what it is for us in New York. The only way they can buffer that is they're offsetting it. And, we don't have that infrastructure. So I think you can get there with scale.
Yeah, and it should be noted that with Regal Unlimited, even if you buy as many tickets, they still charge you 50 cents to $1 per ticket as a convenience fee, and that's another way they do that.
Yeah. So I it's not something that we've given up on, but it is a hard road to, unless you have super scale, to offset that.
Good. All right. There we go. So there you go, Little Oak. I personally don't expect an unlimited option back. I think it will. I think MoviePass will complement my other subscription services because I'm a madman and have them all. But like my parents are probably going to sign up for MoviePass because they like to rotate theaters as well. So one of the final questions, and I debated a little bit about asking this one because I don't want things to be uncomfortable. But when I thought about it, I thought this was not a terrible thing to ask. So you probably know this guy. He's written a book about MoviePass. And by the way, for those watching this channel, I've got the audio book. We're going to be doing a read through where we discuss each chapter individually on this channel. So far, what I've read is very interesting. I'll put it that way. And he, of course, gave an interview about the startup's collapse, and my personal opinion on him, just to be frank, is I don't always know if he's being completely honest because the answers have changed over interviews. But they did ask about you, and they asked him like if he had anything to say to you now that you have MoviePass back, and he was quoted as saying, "I hope the best for him. I should have listened to him more often than I did. So he should just follow his own instincts, because if I did follow more of his advice, who knows what would have happened." So my question is, first of all, what do you think of his comment like that? And is there anything you would say in return?
Yeah, I think some of the everybody kind of got caught up in the moment and the excitement of, MoviePass taking off. The financials around $10, I don't know how you get there, right? So
Right.
I think some of the things that I was vocalizing, I think it's good to have differences of opinion. I think it's good to argue them out. I felt it was unfortunate that they sent me an email and fired me. But they wanted to do it the way they wanted to, and things turned out how they did. But I think that the data tells you the story, especially a financial reality, and I think you fly within that. The plane can only do certain things, right? You can only, and we had spent a lot of years building a brand. I think the first year I took MoviePass out was 2005 when I started pitching the idea to the studios and theaters. So it took a long time to get there, and it took 12 years to build and 12 months to destroy, right? Most things can fall as quickly are in much quicker than they take to build. So I think when you're building a brand, you need to maintain integrity. I think you need to be honest with customers. I think you need to treat them the way you'd want to be treated as a customer. I think that you need to have great customer service and speak to people. That's why I'm on here talking to you. And I think if you do those things and you have a communication open with the audience, then you'll build something great that everybody can be happy. And that's, I don't disagree with what he's saying. I don't think I was the smartest guy in the room, but there were some things that I think if you're going to build a brand that's a 30, 40, 50-year brand, you can't do it by, giving users a bad experience. There's no way to build a brand that way.
Right. Right. And I will say this is probably the most humbling I've ever read. I've never met the guy personally. By the way, Mitch, if you're watching this, you're welcome to come on the show. I'd love to talk to you too. But this is the most humbling I'd seen him. I remember like the last time I made a video about him, he said the problem was, we grew too fast. I'm like, I don't think that was the issue. Most companies love to grow. That's the point. Yeah. That's why you do this. Yeah. But anyway, so I thought of one more question before the final one, because I realized this might actually be really important for MoviePass. You opened a wait list. It crashed. We on this channel did a waitlist party where I was refreshing the page, and it's like, God, I hope I get on this thing. Like #1 MoviePass guy on the internet can't get a MoviePass. And I got on, but now that the waiting list is closed, it's been a little vague on how people are going to sign up for MoviePass if it comes to their area. So how can they sign up for MoviePass now?
So we've got a couple of waves. So the first thing we did was we said, okay, we thought maybe 100,000, 200,000 people were going to sign up. So 30,000 signed up in the first 5 minutes. It crashed the servers. In the first 24 hours, 465,000 signed up. And so in just near 4 days, 775,000 signed up. Okay. And if you got on the list, we gave 10 friend invites to everyone. So let's just say all 700,000 people have 10 friend invites. So that's 7 million people. Okay. If they all get used. So we determined we're going to start where the exhibitors are signing up, work our way out, and then when we get those people, let everybody in who said, I'm in, then they get to extend their friend invites. So then they get to invite all of their friends, and those friends are going to come in on a first come, first serve basis. So once the friends are in, then you open it up to the outside world. But until that, we're only letting people who got in on the list, and the only way to now get in is if one of those people gives you a friend invite. Right now, there's no other way to get on. And so if MoviePass, the first version got to, I think, 3 million people in about 18 months, 15 to 18 months. It could take a minute to get through that 7 million people. And we'll see how many of those people convert. But we will give windows for that. But that's basically the approach that we're taking.
Oh, okay. Okay. You know, this is starting. I'm starting to think the credit card was designed as the American Express Black Card. It's invite only. You have to know someone to get it. I don't care if it wasn't completely intentional. That's what it's coming off.
And as far as timing, just what you put up on screen. So as far as timing, yeah. So our goal is to open up these first few markets, get the kinks worked out because we haven't tested this with anybody, right? We've done it where we, the staff, have been playing with it for months, but we haven't let you guys play with it. So we want to open it up, let you guys play with it, because it's basically a beta launch, and then get the feedback. And then once we're good with the feedback and people are okay with it and we've got the kinks worked out, then we'll just let her rip. So we want to get there as fast as possible and get that feedback loop. So I'm excited to have people start playing with it, because we think we've gotten through all of the kinks, but it's just us as a staff who've been playing with it. So every weekend and during the week for the last 3 months, we've been using it and using the credit system and how many points and where I go and when. So I'm excited to let other people in and start playing with it and hear the responses and tweak what we need to. Let these first few markets feel it out, and then boom, we'll go prime time and let everybody in.
Excellent. Awesome. So I guess my final question is, I've got MoviePass credits. What are the chances that I get to be the first beta tester in the LA area? Come on, I know you can hook me up. I think you're pretty high up there.
You're gonna try and do a bribe on live TV.
It is not a bribe. I'm just showing I am a hardcore fan from the old days. Plus, it's pretty obvious if you looked at my old video. I had to do that. You know, I had to do that.
I love it. I love it.
I got on the waiting list if anyone watching is concerned. So I am definitely looking forward to the day when I get the email saying you can get on. And then I'm going to be making, I don't know how many videos about how the system works and everything. Awesome. I guess we'll do one more question from your pre-show subscriber, and then we will wrap it up.
Okay.
Once MoviePass goes mainstream, love that confidence. Once it goes mainstream, would you introduce packages where you could book more than one ticket at a time? Now, I'm going to venture to think that that's probably a yes, but it probably depends on the credits.
Yeah, so I'm going to make this up. Let's say I've got 30 credits and a movie is 7 or 8 credits, okay? So I'm going on a Tuesday night, and I've got my wife, and we're going to go have a midweek date. And so I would use multiple credits on my account. So one of the things that people talked about the first MoviePass was you couldn't bring a friend, right? Now with the credits, you can do that. You'll be completely capable of bringing a friend and having somebody come with you. And that's part of the things that we learned from the old MoviePass was what you had to do. And Kev, you'll remember this. You had to both go to the theater, stand at the kiosk, and both pick 2 seats and get them at the same time while you're both standing at the kiosk. And people were always like, I'd like to be able to have a way that my friend could let me use their account so I could get 2 tickets, and then I give them their ticket, but I can book us next to each other. So this was part of that evolution that we're working on in the credits. So you're also going to be able to share and transfer credits, right? So if I've got a friend, I'll be able to say, I didn't go to the movies this month. You know what? You can use my credits. Or so all of this stuff is really what we had learned from the first MoviePass, and that bring a friend, the credits let you do that. So that's something we're very excited about.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that response. And you actually also answered a question I forgot to ask earlier, which was the multiple people. Dan says, thank you, Stacy. Really excited for this and wishing you lots of success. And I think the feeling is mutual. I'm really pulling for MoviePass to succeed. I have a lot of great memories of MoviePass, and I think MoviePass would be a great way for me to be able to economically go to the mom and pop theaters again, which I love doing, because I think mom and pop theaters have a lot more personality than the AMCs of the world, which are really nice. But you know, you go to a mom and pop shop and like the owner is also serving the popcorn and he's coming in and doing an introduction. I love stuff like that.
And
so
they know your name, and the ticket taker, you know who they are, and you're asking movie reviews from the ticket taker, and yeah, it's love it. Love it.
Oh yeah. The local Regency here, they know I have a website and a YouTube channel. So when I'm walking out of the movie, they're like, how many stars are you giving it? And I'll go like 4, or I'm gonna give 3, or like, you know, one it's like one per I went to one of those theaters when I had to see a screening of 50 Shades of Grey, and walked out. He's like, so what are you gonna give it, Kevin? And I said, and I just gave a thumbs down. He's like, oh, so like 1 star? I'm like, no, I'm giving it 0 stars. And he's like, really, that bad? And I'm like, yep, you got a higher grade in junior high for handing in your homework blank with nothing but your name on it.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Yeah. A waste of time.
A waste of time. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us, Stacy. Good luck on MoviePass. For everyone else who's watching, join us. We will be going through Mitch Lowe's book chapter by chapter on audio book. And of course, we've got movie reviews. Feel free to, we don't have time for questions anymore, but if you have any comments on his plans, what do you think of this? Does this sound good to you? Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us, Stacy.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.